I want to thank you for being here with us for this weekend devotional. I began thinking the other day about some things and this idea of man. And each one of us feel as though we are in control. We seek to be in control of our own life, of what we do, of the decisions that are made. We seek those things to be ours. I'm not going to let anybody else tell me what to do or where to go or how to be or what might be done in this case or that. We seem to have that built within us for some reason. And we believe that we're in control. But I want us to think about something. We live in a land, or at least where I am at, we live in a land where we depend upon the goodness of the land. We depend upon the weather being correct, having the rain at the right time and the heat at the right time. And we think that we're in control. And yet we cannot change when it rains. We cannot change when the sunshine is warm. We cannot control the winds or the things that happen there. And things seem to be out of control at that moment in time. I want us to think about this idea of our life, the decisions that we make. Yes, we are in control. We make the decisions. Am I going to do right or wrong? Am I going to plant now or later? Am I going to do a lot of different things? But when it comes to our own self, the importance of what God has given us. I said, well, I don't want anybody in control of me. I don't want anybody making decisions for me. And yet, when it comes to our own being, we find that, yes, we can make decisions, but likely with our health, we can't change things without help. We seek doctors. Over the next week, I'm going to seek a doctor to help me with my eyesight. I can't change anything there except to make the decision to let him be in control at that moment and do the things he thinks are right. One has difficulties with their heart or with many other things. We cannot control how quickly or we might, but we come to a point in our life and we realize that, oh, the joints are wore out. Why are they wore out? Why can't I keep that from happening? We have to go to someone who has the abilities to change those things. I want us to listen to what the preacher said in Ecclesiastes as he spoke these words. In chapter 12, he says, remember also your Creator in the days of your youth, before the evil days come and the years draw near, which you will say, I have no pleasure in them. This idea, he says, remember, look to God when you're young. Don't be carried away by all these evil things that when you come to the end of your age, you look and you find no pleasure in them. He said, before the sun and the light and the moon and the stars are darkened, and the clouds return after the rain, and in the day when the keepers of the house tremble, and the strong men are bent, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those who look through the windows are dimmed, and the doors on the streets are shut, and the sound of the grinding is low, and one rises up at the sound of a bird, and all the daughters of songs are brought low, and they're afraid also of what is high, and the terrors are in the way. The almond tree blossoms, the grasshopper drags itself along, and desire fails because man is going to his eternal home. In other words, he's saying he's going to die. He's going to die. And he's going to go to his eternal home, whatever it might be. And the mourners go about the streets before the silver cord is snapped and the golden bowl is broken, or the pitcher is shattered at the fountain, or the wheel is broken at the cistern, and the dust returns to the earth as it was, and the spirit returns to God who gave it. Vanity of vanities, says the preacher. All is vanity. All the things that we look at in this world and the ideas that we have and the way we control them are the things that we seek after. He's saying only one thing is important. He ends this chapter. In verse 13, he said, the end of the matter has been heard. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God will bring every deed into judgment with every secret thing, whether good or evil. He ends this last part that we looked at. He says that man will return to God and we fall under his judgment. We fall under his judgment. Have we been seeking God, letting him have, we might say, control over our lives? In other words, when we become a child of God, we give ourselves over into his possession. He's not necessarily in control of our health and those things, and yet he may help along and give us that comfort of physical comforts at times. He may be with those whom we seek to care for us. We seek God and asking him to give those the ability to do the things they need to do. But if we look at God, we will often see a man who is sick and being put or in the hospital, who in his younger days has not sought God. And then he seeks for those who are of Christ to pray for him. I'm not saying it's wrong or I'm not saying it's indifferent, but I'm saying the idea is a man, he seeks his own control, and yet when it comes down to the brass tacks, he begins to look and realize he's not in control. Or he made the decision that he has that control. He decides to discipline his body or not, do the things that are asked of him. I want us to go to 1 Peter, 4th chapter, beginning at 17. He said, for it is time for judgment to begin at the household of God. And if it begins with us, what will be the outcome for those who do not obey the gospel of God? And if the righteous is scarcely saved, what will become of the ungodly and the sinner? This idea that one who belongs to God is only saved through the blood of Christ. We're here to live for God, all men. Yet we make the decision. We choose whether we will or we won't. If the righteous is scarcely saved, that one who belongs to God, what will become of the ungodly and the sinner? He says, therefore, let those who suffer according to God's will entrust their souls to a faithful Creator while doing good. See, we need to entrust our souls to God. We need to realize that the things that happen through life are life. That's the way it is. We face difficulties. We face pains. We face worn out joints. We face drought. We face all kinds of things. Me, I look at this and see the vision that is there. And I know that there are doctors who care for those things, that seek those, but also seek God. But I must remember that my physical body is of importance to do the work of God, to make the decisions. But what really important in my life is my spiritual body. Have I given it over to God, or do I seek to walk the ways of man in the world? You see, when it comes right down to it, God makes the final judgment. Am I willing to look to him? Am I willing to give myself over to him? Am I willing to seek Him? Or am I looking at the ways of the world and seeking those things and thinking, I'm in control? As we go about this week, this rest of these times, and think about this thought of, am I truly in control? Who is controlling the situations? What is the important part of life? What is the important part of life? What I have here on earth or what I have after my physical time is ended? You see, that decision is up to us. But God makes the final judgment. He decides. He decides, have I lived a worthy life in Him? Or am I of the world? And what do I deserve, or what am I being repaid for? Am I being repaid for the good or for the evil in life? Am I being repaid? Am I that's a wrong word. Because I give myself to Christ. I live my life for God because I love Him. I have that which I sought. But I have an eternity with God. What are my choices going to be? What are my choices going to be? Think about that as we go through this week. Think about who you are, what you seek, and who really is in control. Well, thank you for being here today, and may God bless.